So it is the greatest battle, I always think, the Met Gala, for attention seeking that the world has ever known.
They're also a bunch of hypocrites, and that's half the audience is just there to roast them.
They weren't lecturing people about slavery.
They literally made it the theme of the event.
Stop being so literal.
Who loses if they raise 30 million, right?
I guess the 4-year-old girl chained to a table making all those clothes. Maybe she's the one.
Apart from the slaves.
What world are we living in?
Yeah. Other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. If they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States.
Hollywood has been disintegrating for the better part of, 40, 50 years. We must do something about plugging the holes in this sinking ship.
We can circle back when you can count.
If you want to sit in front of me, get on a plane, come to London, come to my studio, and let's do this man to man, face to face. New York's Met Gala is the annual pony show for tone-deaf superstars in very expensive costumes who all want you to know they have a great moral purpose for being there. Pharrell Williams, this year's co-chair, wore 100,000 pearls for this important tribute to the world's impoverished people.
Some of your fashion icons related to this theme.
You know what? The working class, the black men of the working class, because they did the hard work, they do the hard work, but then when it's time to get fresh, they get dandy and super fine. I'm inspired by the working class because that's where I come from.
Well, the working class may have been honoured at the gala, but it's unlikely that any of them actually saw the honour, given that a table cost $350,000. Others have more subtle methods for signalling their virtue, including actress Lisa from White Lotus, who wore a picture of civil rights hero Rosa Parks on her crotch. Incredibly, it was Sydney Sweeney who faced accusations of being particularly tone-deaf to the culturally meaningful theme by taking her inspiration from white actress Kim Novak. So is the Met meaningful or just moronic? Well, here to debate all that from the Nerdrotic channel, Gary Beekler, YouTube's premier movie reviewer, if you don't believe him, ask him yourself, the critical drinker, aka Will Jordan, uncensored contributor, Esther Krakue, and the author of The Case for Cancel Culture, Ernest Owens. Okay, Esther, every year this comes around. And I've just posted to X that there were 2 reasons I didn't attend this year. One is I wasn't invited, which is the same every year.
I was going to ask.
And secondly, I don't think my ego is big enough. And I'm not known globally for having a particularly fragile ego. But the egos are out of control at this thing. And the tormented, twisted way they try to make us think this is all about poor people is frankly laughable.
Yeah, I think when you get to a certain level of fame, you kind of lose your mind a bit. Now, of course, this is a fundraiser for the arts. It's been going on since, I believe, 1948. But it's mainly for the celebrities involved, a way to get your name out there. They hardly even mention the designers, actually, that are responsible for the work, many of whom actually pay for their $70,000 tickets. It's usually a way for them to get, body parts out there. I mean, Kim Kardashian, I thought her outfit looked nice, and then she turned around, I was like, oh, there it is. Sabrina Carpenter decided to wear, no trousers whatsoever. I'm pretty sure Halle Berry went without knickers at her 50-plus years of age. So clearly, their motivation is not really to draw attention to the arts.
They're all trying to grab our attention amid a sea of other world-class attention seekers. So it is the greatest battle, I always think, the Met Gala, for attention seeking that the world has ever known. And each year it gets ever more. I thought the winner by far was Diana Ross, who just thought, fuck this, I'm going to wear the biggest dress ever seen in the history of dresses and wipe the floor with all of you. Her dress was almost bigger than the whole red carpet. And I thought, yes, that is the way to do it. Go big or go home.
No, you're right. And I think the thing is, the fact that many of these people actually wear as little clothes as physically possible is what I find disturbing. If you're going to, the theme was around sort of black dandyism, and if you know anything about black dandyism, it's focused on tailoring, really sharp lines and clean, elegant form and suits and all of that.
You haven't got to tell a fashion icon like
some of them literally didn't wear anything.
Yeah.
So, Dua Lipa, again, her bum's out. I don't understand. If you're going to be part of this fundraiser for a costume fundraising event for the costume department of the Met, why not go all out? Why not praise the designers and actually say, yes, I'm going to put my ego aside and my reproductive organs and actually show the art on display.
Well, let's go. I'll tell you what. Why don't we go to the resident black dandy on the panel? Good evening, Ernest. Now, Ernest, what's your honest view about this? The reason I ask is this, right? The theme was super fine, inspired by the scholar Monica L. Miller's book, Slaves to Fashion, Black Dandyism and the Styling of Black Diasporic Identity. Now, forgive me if I call them a bunch of hypocrites, but let's analyse the fashion industry, shall we? According to the anti-slavery organisation Unseen, 10% of cases reported to the Modern Slavery and Exploitation Helpline relate to businesses in the garment sector, i.e. fashion. 1/5 of the world's cotton comes from Xinjiang in China, where there's significant evidence of forced labour, specifically related to cotton picking. The 2023 Global Slavery Index report says that $147.9 billion worth of garments and $12.7 billion worth of textiles are at risk of being produced by forced labour and are reported annually by G20 countries. I mean, should they be lecturing anybody about the need to honour slavery when they're still engaged in it so aggressively?
I think it's, first of all, I'm very impressed that you did research on slavery and, workforce issues in Black history, Piers. It's actually incredible given, in the U.S. right now, they're trying to ban those type of conversations and histories in classrooms and things. So I'm really happy that your show was providing that kind of information to the public at large.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate that it's being used in such a misguided way to try to, crap on a great philanthropic event that raised over $30 million for the arts at a time where arts funding is being cut in the U.S. right now.
I wasn't crapping on it. I just said there are a bunch of hypocrites when they want to shine a light on.
No, I don't think so.
When they want to shine a light on literally a theme called slaves to fashion, maybe stop using slavery to promote the fashion business.
Well, that's your interpretation of it. I can make the same argument about what's happened at the Kennedy Center right now.
But there are more
you all will
slaves
argue that it is
alive
giving
right now than there was
an
ever
opportunity
in
to
the
be
history
seen
of
through
the
art.
universe. Like we have more slaves now than there ever was in human history.
You can make a leap. So do you want to cancel the Met Gala?
I don't want to cancel the Met Gala. I just find it ironic that they're talking. Their theme is about slavery to fashion. Maybe they might take their own advice and not use slaves to produce their own fashion.
Ernest,
they didn't use slaves.
The point is, you can say, look, it's a great laugh.
It's not rooted just in slavery.
Ernest, you can say it's a great laugh. We can all look at the fashion, have a good old laugh or whatever, have the best and worst, all that kind of stuff. We can say they're a bunch of egotistical goons. Of course we can. We can acknowledge the fact it raises a ton of money.
You would have said they were too woke if they made it about that, Piers.
Hang on,
there's always going to be a goal that you're going to move.
My question,
you would have argued if they made it about that. You all would have argued, oh, it's too woke. Woke is dead. You would have promoted your book. I get it. You would have been happy either way. So stop it. You're being intellectually dishonest.
I haven't actually finished my question, Ernest. Can I finish my question? I said you can make a case that the fundraising is great. Right, the rest of it is harmless fun. We can study what they wear, good, bad, and ugly, and we had all three last night. But you could also say it is a bit hypocritical of an industry that is clearly, according to all the official bodies, is not in the best place to be lecturing people about slavery and why we should be paying more attention to it.
But they weren't lecturing people about slavery.
They literally made it the theme of the event.
Stop being so literal.
They made it the theme of the event.
The theme of the event was to highlight the designers. Again, if you're going to ask somebody who's really actually into Black dandyism, into fashion, that type of way, what I'm telling you is that it was a celebration of that culture and those designers, which is why they participated in it. It's funny that you're thinking for that crowd, even though they were the ones that were benefiting and participating and highlighting it. And if they would have done it a different way, you would have argued, oh my goodness, they're being so woke. They're sucking out the fun of fashion, lighten up. And they're doing that. And you want them to do a history lesson on slavery during a philanthropic event? What double standards? You don't do that for any other groups. Do you actually ask other, the only reason why you're attacking them is because they're liberal, because you think they're progressive. And now you're mad that woke people are having joy and not trying to shove slavery down people's throats. Which one is it, Piers? I
think they're just a bunch of hypocrites.
Because if they would have went that direction, you would have said that they were sucking the fun out of it. They've done China through the lighting glass. Come on, man.
Take your win. You've had a good monologue. Let's just cut it there, right? I want to ask Nerdrotic. This is a clip of Andre 3000. Full disclosure, I've never heard of him, but he turned up with a piano on his head. Let's have a look.
I need to know everything about this look.
It's just a piano.
It's just a piano.
Yeah.
But it's like, is it a real, like, this is what I'm, like, could you play that piano right now?
Yes, I could.
Fully functioning?
Yes.
And is it heavy?
No.
Is this sort of like, you know, maybe a sense of costuming tonight? Wow. You both look amazing.
Thank you.
You both look amazing.
What world are we living in?
Yeah.
Critical drinker, where's your piano, man? For God's
I
sake!
know. I want a piano that I can wear. This is insane in all the best ways, man. It's just the absurdity of modern celebrity culture just distilled down into one video. I love it.
But isn't it? So that's really interesting.
Zoolander
because,
has become reality now.
Well, that's the thing,
it's
Nerdrotic, though, isn't it?
Zoolander and Hunger Games.
Yeah, but Nerdrotic, isn't the truth there? What Critical Drinker just said is that, in a way, it just adds to the gaiety of the world, right? Once a year, we get a good old laugh at these people dressing up like often idiots. But it's something to talk about. It lightens the load of the day's otherwise very, at the moment, serious, consequential news. Do we take it too seriously? Tax day has passed, but for millions of Americans, that's where the trouble begins. The IRS is now ramping up enforcement for those who missed the April deadline or still owe back taxes. Well, today's sponsor, Tax Network USA, can still help. If your books are a mess, if you're self-employed, or if you're a business owner, Tax Network USA specializes in cleaning up financial chaos and getting you back on track quickly. They say the IRS is applying enforcement pressure at levels they've never seen before. But even after the deadline, it's not too late to take control. Your consultation is completely free. Acting now could stop penalties, threatening letters, and surprise levies before they escalate. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/peers. That's tnusa.com/peers. Let Tax Network USA make the next move, not the IRS. Should we not just have it for what it is? A bunch of narcissistic celebrities showing off, waiting to be judged by our critical eyes, but at the same time raising $30 million. Who loses?
Exactly. They're raising money.
If the charity is legit,
they do it at the Oscars
that's
and they're
fine.
raising
Nobody
money.
loses. We get to have a laugh.
Ernest, your name is not Nerdrotic, last time I checked. I can't think of two people less like each other, so let Nerdrotic have his say, please.
Again, I see it as Zoolander and parody, but like the more comic stuff is fun. I think that's fine. And if you're raising money for a legitimate charity, that's fine. There are also a bunch of hypocrites, and that's half the audience is just there to roast them. Yeah. I know some people are into this. Obviously, I'm an expert in fashion, but I understand that, like, as much as Africa, but I understand that it's an art form. It's an art form I'm completely not into, kind of like musicals. And I can see the artistic part of it.
I was expecting Andre 3000 and Janelle Monáe to do this because that's actually their style.
Who is he, by the way?
So he's a musician. He's a very famous artist. You know the song, Hey, yeah, that was him. And he and Janelle Monáe actually are very dandy in their style. Generally, that's how we've always known. He's always worn suits in his music videos. Janelle Monáe has always kind of had this kind of androgynous style to her and very tailored, very fitted and all of that. So actually, if anyone was expecting people to do this, it was those two. It's the others that I'm utterly baffled by. And they could have just been on theme, on brand, and you know, gone about their day, but they decided to take their kid off. I mean, Halle Berry wasn't wearing knickers, which still traumatizes me.
All right, but
horrifying.
I'll tell you what, the Critical Drinker, the thing that struck me was it depends what they say, actually. If they just glide up the carpet looking pretty or dumb or whatever and show off their dress, great, right? Then it's fine. It's when they try and do what Lewis, and I like Lewis Hamilton. Apart from anything else, he's an Arsenal fan like me, so I'll always forgive anything. And he's a brilliant racing driver. But when he said this about his outfit, look, I've got a view.
I'm just in awe of this look right now. I'm taking it all in, yeah.
This is Grace Wells-Bonner.
Ooh, okay.
And
Grace.
We've gone into great detail. The shells represent currency. Ivory represents purity. Grace is very, very much into spirituality. And we really wanted to pay homage to our culture of Africa.
Lewis, man, come on. I mean, the last time I saw somebody wearing an outfit like that was a gondolier in Venice.
Yeah.
Is he in danger of taking himself a little too seriously?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly had a justification for the suit that he was wearing, so good on him, I guess. Like, I didn't really get that much from it, but it just looks like a white suit. But yeah, if it makes him happy, then fine. Yeah, I don't really know what I can draw from that one.
At least he's not wearing curtains like last year, which was just not
true.
acceptable. Yeah.
Well, the other one, somebody came literally in a box when they left the Carlisle Hotel. Let's take a look at the footage here. They wanted to keep their look so secret, they were actually in a box leaving the Carlisle. I don't even know who that is. It was probably a distinct improvement, actually, on whatever came out of the box.
It's probably Pedro Pascal on his way to his next acting gig.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say Kanye, but...
Look, we're going to switch gears. The Met Gala, you know what, Ernest, you've slightly persuaded me. There is a danger of over-flogging an event that raises $30 million. You know, in the end, it always gives us something to talk about. The fashion is a good old laugh. Some of it's great, actually. Some of it's awful. But I kind of take your point. It's like, who loses if they raise 30 million, right?
I guess the 4-year-old girl chained to a table making all those clothes. Maybe she's the winner.
Apart from the slaves.
But
that's
they do
the
it the
problem.
Oscars. But to be fair, if you look at the Grammys and you look at the Oscars, right, they do the same thing at the Oscars, the Grammys, these award shows. And you all will say, which has more fair critique, that they're self-celebrating themselves and for what and for nothing. They're literally doing a red carpet, wearing the same crazy fashions, but they're raising millions of dollars for good. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's like whether you wear a regular suit or piano or you take yourself too seriously, at least they're doing it for good.
You know what, Ernest?
My goodness.
This has very rarely happened.
Yeah, come on.
Ernest, in our entire working relationship, I can't ever remember saying these words before, but you've kind of changed my mind, Ernest. It finally happened.
Someone clip that. This is history right here.
Yep.
I didn't realise they
History
raised
has
that
been
much.
made.
You've kind of persuaded me, so we're moving on. We're moving on with me taking a rare loss. Ernest ecstatic. Mr. Woke has finally got one over me. No, I think that's quite a persuasive argument. So let's move on to something quite interesting. Joining us now is the US actor Zachary Levi, one of the few Hollywood stars to endorse President Trump before the election. The reason we got you on, Zachary, is this whole thing that Trump's unleashed, obviously, global tariff war we know about, but now he's announced 100% tariffs on all films made outside Hollywood. Let's see what he said.
Other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, then we should have a tariff on movies that come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense.
Now, it seems to me, Zachary, that rather like the global tariff war that he unleashed, it's all negotiable. So I think everything with Trump is always a negotiation. He's really chucking everything at the wall and seeing what lands successfully and also what kind of deals can be done. But I do think his overarching theme for all the tariff stuff is his genuine belief, because I've interviewed him many times over the last 20 years. He's always had a belief that America has been ripped off and been outsourcing way too much stuff out of the United States. And that's why American manufacturing is in the doldrums. And he wants to bring it back. And he thinks the best way to do that is through the mechanism of tough tariffs. I do get it. I'm not sure if it's going to work quite the way he hopes, but I do get why he's doing this. I don't know enough about the Hollywood industry in relation to this, but I think you know a bit more. Tell me about the reality. I mean, how much work has basically been outsourced out of Hollywood and the US in terms of the production of movies?
I agree that it's a very interesting game, right? And I think a lot of that is and has been him throwing out these kind of warning shots across the bow, like, hey, we're going to do this if you don't come to the table and play ball. And I do believe, I hope, that it will be effective. And I think it's already been effective in some ways. Hollywood is a different type of a game in that it's always been an international community. Film is not exclusively American. The technology that makes film is not exclusively American. I don't believe that other countries are somehow taking, American film technologies and going and exploiting them elsewhere. That said, every industry is essentially, it values profit over people. And it's been doing this for far too long, and Hollywood is no exception. And so starting in the early 80s, that's when we really started seeing this exodus of productions. It started greatly in Canada in the early 80s. Television shows like 21 Jump Street were going to Vancouver because the Canadian dollar was, it was a softer dollar, and they could the American dollar could go a lot further. That led to Canada then implementing more tax filming incentives that attracted more business up there. Then other countries started doing the same, and many states within the United States started doing the same. And so the community that was Hollywood, Los Angeles, Hollywood, has been disintegrating for the better part of 40, 50 years. And so now we have record low employment in Los Angeles and also elsewhere in the United States because, to your point and to what you've been talking about, you can go to Spain now and get 50 cents back on the dollar. You can go to Eastern Europe. I shot a movie out in the Republic of Georgia last fall. And we shot there specifically because, in large part because the incentives and the price of production was significantly lower. I don't want to penalize the international community. I think that art itself transcends borders, right? We shouldn't be looking at this as if there's American art and then there's international art. Art is art. Entertainment is entertainment. And I think that, and I've been very blessed to shoot both a lot in the United States and outside of the United States. And I don't think that we should just wholesale, say, no, we shouldn't be shooting anything over there. However, we must do something about plugging the holes in this sinking ship.
If you're struggling with sleepless nights and exhausting days, you might want to try Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded in America and run by people who value hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients to improve your sleep, so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, apigenin, L-theanine, melatonin, and magnesium. It's designed to help you fall asleep and just stay asleep. We've teamed up to give you a massive discount of up to 40% for a limited time. So go to shopbeam.com/Piers, P-I-E-R-S, and use promo code Piers at the checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Piers. Use promo code Piers for up to 40% off. Sleep better, wake up stronger, and show up ready for your family, your work, and your country too.
I have many, many, many friends, actors, crew, they aren't working. They're simply not working. And I think a lot of that has to do with, we have a massive contraction going on in Hollywood right now. Pre-pandemic, we were making more content than had ever been made before. Then we had the pandemic. Then we had multiple strikes. And all the studios are kind of circling their wagons and being like, well, we don't want to be losing more money. How do we do this? I will say that I think the tactics should be less about how do we penalize people going abroad and making movies, and more to the point he was making toward the end of that video clip, how do you incentivize homegrown American-made content? That to me is the more effective way of doing this. But I will also say, on top of all of this, I fear that all of this is going to be moot, because in 2 to 5 years, AI is going to be replacing everything, not just my industry, but jobs across all industries. And so I think what I would love for the president to really be looking into is not simply incentivizing how to get more American jobs, but how to hold on to more human jobs. Because we could bring those jobs back to America, but if we don't protect against AI companies allowing basically anyone to just sit at home and without really any talent or skill or time to learn any of those things, but with a few creative ideas and a few keystrokes to just say, I want a movie that looks and feels and sounds like this, enter. And for a one of one to be propagated right in front of their faces of any movie they could possibly want, any television show, any video game, any music, anything. And a lot of people will push back on me. They say, well, of course, that'll be possible, but most people are still going to want, really human art. And I push back to them and I say, you won't be able to tell the difference. It will be so good. It will be indiscernible. So I think that, yes, we need to figure out ways of bringing jobs back to the United States. I don't think that is done through specifically penalizing outside work, but rather incentivizing internal work and also protecting human effort.
Really interesting. Zachary, thank you very much. You presented that perfectly. I appreciate you coming on Uncensored. Thank you very much.
I'm about to step in this interview, but I can hop back on in about whenever it's done. You're not gonna take inches off my dick, bro. Like, how many followers do I have?
Well, how many is it?
This is what you get for now. We can circle back when you can count.
Okay. So the genesis of all this was 2 years ago. I interviewed him when he was going through his initial slightly crazy phase where it appeared that he was embracing anti-Semitism in a pretty vile way. These constant tirades against Jewish people.
Where's the tirade? That was a tweet. Have you felt my pain yet? You haven't felt my pain. You don't want to feel my pain.
Well, no,
you don't hold You don't hold accountability to my pain. You're being a Karen.
And I took him on, and it was a 2-hour interview. It was quite fascinating, but he was reasonably normal, I would say, for a lot of that interview. Quite reflective, quite self-aware about what he'd done, and almost apologetic. Do you still love Kim?
I absolutely love. I'll love her for life.
2 years forward, and Ye has been on a systematic rampage of blatant anti-Semitism, embracing Adolf Hitler, Nazism, swastikas. It's all been extraordinarily and I think deliberately offensive, particularly to Jewish people, of course. It's caused him enormous upheaval. A lot of commercial deals have crashed because of his behavior, notably on X, where he goes on these posting rampages. It seems like he's on a mission to attack everyone and everything, blaming everyone and everything for all his woes, apart from, of course, the person who is most responsible, and that's him. So I didn't think we'd get another interview with him because I've been lambasting him quite regularly on X, taking him to task there, but kind of feeling like I'm howling in the wind because nothing he ever does seems to prompt any suspension from X. In fact, the only time I think he got suspended was when he posted some legal pornography, which was a line that Elon Musk's team at X felt crossed their line, but not the anti-Semitism or the very hateful rhetoric, which I think is an interesting distinction. Anyway, 2 days ago, I got told that Ye was prepared to be interviewed by me again for Piers Morgan Uncensored. He was in Mallorca with some other rapper called Steamy or Somi or something. I can't remember his name. Never heard of him. Some weird guy. I think he wants to be Andrew Tate's horrible little stepbrother or something from his antics. He's been banned from every other platform. But he was the conduit to get to an interview with Ye again. And I was genuinely curious to actually hold him to account for all the vile things he's been saying. Is he just a massive troll? Is he mentally unhinged? Or is he just a grotesque attention seeker? Or is he now a genuine anti-Semitic pro-Adolf Hitler Nazi? Or is he all of those things? I think that at the very least, he ought to be challenged properly in an interview format to determine what he is or isn't, and to see if he has any explanation for what he's done. Anyway, we were supposed to interview him on Monday night. He kept my crew in Mallorca waiting for about 2 hours. He kept me waiting for 2 hours in London. He kept my crew in London waiting for 2 hours. All of this is expensive. Thousands of pounds and euros were being expended waiting for his greatness, as he would see it, to actually do this interview. And he didn't show. At the last minute, he decided he'd rather do it the next day. And I went, okay, I'll give him one more chance. Obviously, it was incredibly irritating. Obviously, my inclination was to wring him by his scrawny, arrogant neck. But no, I gave him another chance. Let's just see if he rocks up the next night, which was last night, Tuesday night. Once again, he kept us waiting for, I think, another couple of hours past the agreed time we were supposed to do the interview. Once again, he was costing us time and money. And my patience was almost running out. And then I got told in the middle of another debate, he's ready and he'll do it. Then I got told, actually, he's taken a phone call. So let's see. Then he came back. So his greatness was now available for me to talk to him. And I did talk to him for about 3 minutes. That's how long it took, this farce. For when I asked him how he was, he pointed to the backdrop behind him.
Well, judge it on The View as the answer to how my life is. Judge me by The View.
I said, you seem reasonably happy and content, which is in direct contrast to what is going on with you on social media, where you have 32 million followers. And at that point, he went into a great theatrical strop.
Wait. Now look right now. You're not gonna take inches off my dick, bro. Like, how many followers do I have?
Well, how many is it?
I think you could do the study. You got a whole staff over there.
I thought it was 32 million. How many is it? You obviously know.
I mean, don't help them out. You know, they.
I'm told it's 33 million now. So congratulations. This is the same guy, remember, who has recently said that all Jews should be whipped. As one of the many things he said on thing, but he was offended by the fact I, as he put it, cut a bit off his dick because I hadn't actually got the number of followers right. But the number of followers is relevant and significant with Kanye West, or Ye, as he wants us to call him. And he was angry that I called him Ye West.
I don't use the term West, you know, the whole drop the slave name idea.
Okay, so we just call you Ye, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Even though his ex-profile literally says at Kanye West. But no, he can't be called Ye West. I've no idea what he wants to be called or who he really is. I doubt he does either. But because I misnamed him, that was another egregious offense to be added to the misnumbering of his total number of followers. And so at that point he said,
"Sir, this is what you get for now. We can circle back when you can count."
Okay. Having also compared himself to Michael Jackson and John Lennon, and said that people like me like to play his music at weddings and funerals and things, but then treat him with such woeful disrespect as to denumber him or wrongly name him. So off he flounced. Studies show that strength training burns more fat than cardio alone and is critical for maintaining muscle mass and bone density as we age. Jacked Up Fitness has the perfect tool. The Jacked Up Power Rack Pro is the ultimate all-in-one home gym system for a full body workout, and you can do it in your spare room or garage. I'm delighted to say I now have one myself. So if you're new to strength training, there is a whole library of full body video workouts. You just press play and you follow along. With top quality equipment and first-class content, Jacked Up Fitness makes your fitness goals accessible and convenient. We've teamed up to give you 10% off the Power Rack Pro. Visit getjackedup.com to sign up for the free program and use promo code PIERS, P-I-E-R-S, for your discount. That's getjackedup.com. I then took the opportunity to grill his little sidekick, who reminds me a little bit of Muttley from Dastardly and Muttley. I don't know if you remember that cartoon strip. He sort of cackles away in the background. Has nothing much to offer. I've no idea who he is, genuinely. He's just, it's Soapy, I can't remember. Anyway, he's some weird guy. So I decided to ask him, why is Ye, your friend, now such an apparent vile, pro-Hitler, pro-Nazi, pro-swastika anti-Semite?
I think it's. I find it funny. That's not something that I would do personally. I don't whip anybody.
You think it's funny, do you? Whipping Jews?
Slavery.
Using Jews as slaves? You think that's funny?
I think the context of that is funny, yeah.
What's the humour?
I'm
missing the humour. What's the humour? And after a few minutes of that, Soapy decided that he also was not going to be held accountable for anything, least of all his sycophancy towards the Hitler lover. So he also walked off.
Okay,
Well, tell him from me he's a snivelling little coward. And he's an anti-Semite and a Hitler worshipper. And so that's where we were left. Obviously, Soapy then did a whole load of stuff on social media, trying to milk the situation for all it was worth. Kanye, Ye, Mr. West, whatever he is, did a tweet to me saying, hey, let's do a proper interview soon. It's all love. But the trouble is, Ye, it's not all love, is it? It's actually all hate. It's hate towards everybody, including your family, your ex-wife, towards Jewish people, towards other black people, towards other rappers, towards pretty much anyone you can think of. You've become a hate machine, fueled on social media because you have 32 or 33 million, as you corrected me, followers, amplifying everything you say, all this vicious sentiment to a vast audience. And that is wrong. Elon Musk should remove you from X. He should deplatform you. And to those who say, well, you platformed it, I did, because he's not being held to account properly on X. He's getting away with this, and it is amplifying his message. Now, if Ye wants to have a proper interview with me about all this, I will do that. But if he wants to play silly games, then he can swing for it. But yeah, if you want to sit in front of me, Ye, get on a plane, come to London, come to my studio, and let's do this man to man, face to face. And you can be held accountable for your despicable actions on social media in the last year or so. But let's see if you're manly enough to do that. Or is it easier for you to attack people like Kim, like Paris Hilton, the women? Is it easier for you to attack them on social media and not face up to people like me who might actually hold you to account for what you've been doing? We'll see. We'll see. Some people think I shouldn't even bother sitting down with you anymore. That's how far your stock has fallen. Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is me. If you enjoy our show, we ask for only one simple thing. Hit subscribe on YouTube and follow Piers Morgan Uncensored on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in return, we will continue our mission to inform, irritate, and entertain. And we'll do it all for free. Independent, uncensored media has never been more critical, and we couldn't do it without you.